with a strong Catholic faith. When we were assigned this biography project, the first person that came to mind was the Most Reverend Archbishop Anthony Mancini. Archbishop Anthony Mancini was born on November 27, 1945, in Mignano Montelungo, Italy, near Naples. Mancini immigrated to Canada with his family, arriving at Pier 21 on December 1, 1948, and was raised in Montreal. Archbishop Mancini received a Bachelor of Arts from Resurrection College at the University of Waterloo, a licentiate in theology from Université de Montréal, a Master of Arts in Religious Studies from McGill University, studies in ecumenical theology at the University of Geneva, and his Doctor of Philosophy in Pastoral Theology at Université de Montréal. Mancini was ordained a priest in the Archdiocese of Montreal on May 23, 1970. Father Mancini first served as curate at St. John Fisher Parish, Pointe Claire, and after his studies in Geneva, he was assistant director of the Canadian Centre for Ecumenism, Montreal. He was chaplain and lecturer at Marianopolis College, Montreal, and curate at St. Augustine's Parish, Montreal, before becoming pastor of St. Rita's Parish, Montreal. He assisted in the coordination of the 1984 papal visit to Montreal. On February 18, 1999, he was appointed an auxiliary bishop of Montreal by Archbishop Jean-Claude Turcotte. He was ordained bishop in Montreal on March 25, 1999. On October 18, 2007, he was appointed to the Archdiocese of Halifax, succeeding Archbishop Terence Thomas Prendergast as the ordinary. At the same time, Mancini was appointed apostolic administrator of the Diocese of Yarmouth after Bishop James Matthew Wingle was transferred to the Diocese of St. Catharines. He was installed to these positions on November 29, 2007. On December 8, 2011, the Archdiocese of Halifax and the Diocese of Yarmouth were joined to create the Archdiocese of Halifax-Yarmouth, and Archbishop Mancini was named its first archbishop. On September 26, 2009, Archbishop Mancini also became the apostolic administrator of the Diocese of Antigonish following the resignation of Bishop Raymond Leahy. This lasted until November 21, 2009, when the Holy See appointed Bishop Brian Dunn as the ordinary of the diocese. I first met the Most Reverend Archbishop Anthony Mancini when I was 6. This picture shows Archbishop Anthony Mancini, my brother Anthony, Taya, Alea, and myself when I was 6, on November 2007. This is another picture of Archbishop Anthony Mancini, my brother Anthony, and myself when I was 6, after altar serving at St. Mary's Cathedral Basilica in Halifax. This is another picture with Anthony Mancini in the altar service when I was 7, on November 3rd, 2008. This is another picture of Archbishop Anthony Mancini, my brother Anthony, and myself when I was 10, on August 14, 2011. This picture was taken on November 27, 2011, with Archbishop Anthony Mancini, my brother Anthony, and myself when I was 10. This is a picture of Archbishop Anthony Mancini and myself when I was 11, on November 25, 2012. I had the honor of interviewing the Most Reverend Archbishop Anthony Mancini on November 25, 2012. Here it is. My name's Andrew. For my English homework, we had to write a biography on an interesting person. Thank you, Archbishop.
You're welcome.
First, I'd like to ask about your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you born?
I was born in Italy in 1945. I came to Canada in 1948. And I was born right after World War II ended. And I come from a place that had been completely destroyed by the war. And that's why my parents moved to Canada.
What was your childhood like?
Well, my childhood was I was raised in Montreal, so I grew up there. And I lived with my parents, so we spoke Italian at home. But I lived in an area where everyone was French, so I spoke French on the street. But I went to an English school, so I learned to speak English at school. So now I speak 3 languages, more or less. So there we are.
Did anybody influence you to become what you are now?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, certainly my parents, my family, they were people who believed and had a strong faith. But also I grew up in a parish where the parish priest was a very good priest, and he worked with a lot of young people. And so I became an altar boy, and I helped out around the church. And then when the time came after high school, I decided that it was time to be a priest, and that's what I did.
And now I'll ask you about your accomplishments.
Okay.
Did you do something before you joined the clergy?
Well, I was in school most of the time. In order to become a priest, it takes a long time. I went through regular school, grade school, high school. Then after high school, I went to college. Then I went to the seminary. And so it was 1970 before I was ordained a priest. And by then I had been studying at the university level for 8 years. So that's what I did before I became a priest. And after I became a priest, after a couple of years, I was in the parish. And then I went back to study, but this time I went to Europe. I went back to Europe and I studied in Geneva. And was there for a couple of years. And when I came back from my studies, then I went into teaching. And so I taught for about 25 years at various places. I taught at Marianopolis College in Montreal. I taught at the Concordia University, at l'Université de Montréal, and I taught at the seminary. So I spent a lot of time teaching. That was, I guess, the main thing that I did.
Is there something else that you want to share with me regarding your accomplishments?
Well, I suppose I might say that after all these years of teaching, just around when I was celebrating my 25th anniversary as a priest, I went back to study again and I got a doctorate. And that one was a doctorate in a combination of psychology and theology, and I did that for a few years. And then in 1999, I was asked by Pope John Paul II, if I would accept to be a bishop. And so I became a bishop in 1999. And then, 5 years ago, I guess, I was appointed Archbishop of Halifax.
So now I'll ask you about your challenges. Have you encountered any challenges before and after you became an archbishop?
Sure. Lots of challenges. The biggest challenge was, of course, moving to a new place. Because I grew up in Montreal, and so I was raised in a different environment and culture. And when I moved to Halifax, well, this was the Maritimes, and people here are, they're used to their ways and so on. And so I had to get used to them. Plus, I didn't know anybody. So it's taken a while to get to know people. So that was a bit of a challenge. Some of the challenges as Archbishop was that when I came, I was in charge of 2 dioceses, Halifax and Yarmouth, which is the south end. And since I'm here, we've combined the two into one, which was like a big deal to do that. That was a big deal. And now we're in the process of trying to work all that out. I mean, you can put something together, but it doesn't mean that everything works together. It takes a while to get it all kind of running smoothly. And so that's what I'm working on. Another challenge is the fact that more and more people are caught up with the values and ideals that are all around us, right? Like we call that secularism or secularization. And so church stuff starts to get forgotten, and lots of people have gone away from the church. So now, that's why today, when I was talking about launching the new year of faith and the new evangelization. So that's the really big challenge. To see if we can convince people that this is worth their time and their effort and their attention. And I'm working on that. That's like really the biggest challenge of all.
Did any of these challenges ever make you think twice about pursuing this commitment?
Sure, when things don't go well, lots of people wonder, why did I get into this to begin with, right? So sure, I've thought about that at different times in my life. But, I've looked at all of that, considered it, and always found that the best thing to do is to go forward. One of the things that I learned is to never make a decision when you're feeling bad. Wait till the sun comes up the next day, maybe it will be better. Yeah. And many times that's turned out to be the case. Yeah.
And finally, I'm going to ask you about your legacy. What is your greatest legacy to Nova Scotians and to the world?
Well, I'm hoping that what we've initiated here will actually bear fruit. I'm hoping that we're going to have a new church, that we're going to have some new people committed to it, and that from that commitment will come some people who will have an effect on the society that we live in. Because, you go to church, but you live every day at work, every day at school, every day at the job, and what you bring to your work and to your job and to everything that you do are your values. So I'm working on trying to get the values in place in more and more people so that those people can go and make a difference where they are every day. That would be the legacy and the effect that I would hope for as Archbishop here.
Yeah. And as children, what can we do to inspire other children of your legacy?
Well, first of all, by showing that you yourself are committed to it. I mean, if you believe and you're not afraid to show it, not by, going around and beating on people or telling them you got to do this. No, you just be yourself. But if yourself means that you believe and that you hold these things to be true, then others will notice. And they might actually ask you, why do you do that? Or why do you go to church? Or why do you believe the stuff that you believe? That's your chance to share it. And then you'll be an agent of the new evangelization.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot. And you have a good day today.